Hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Super Split Screen Brothers. I'm Nick, and this is Jared. How you doing, playa?
Hello, General Kenobi. You said hello
Sorry.
there.
Yeah, my brain had to compute that for a moment. So how you doing, man? What you been playing, playa?
I'm doing pretty well. So in terms of what I'm playing, I started a new playthrough of Knights of the Old Republic, the first one. I'm going to play through both of them because I have them on my Mac, and they actually run really well because I have a really powerful Mac.
Nice.
And so I'm going through that. I just finished the so basically I have two of the, I think, like 4 or 5 star maps. So I did the one on Dantooine and then Manon. Now I'm going to, I believe, Kashyyyk, or either Kashyyyk or Tatooine are the ones I'm doing next. And again, I've enjoyed annoying Bastila because it's so great. Because it's like when she goes, I find you intriguing, and then I choose the dialogue option that says, "Oh, so you do find me intriguing, interesting." And then she actually says, "You are the most infuriating man I've ever met."
Yeah, it's just so adorable watching it get so flustered. It's like, yeah, I do like you. Like, why am I saying this stuff? This bond we have. It's a bond.
And then I'm like, and then my character goes, "Oh, we have a bond, all right."
I love that.
And I just love, I'm like, if I were there and I could write the dialogue option, I would say, it's funny how you're, the more flustered you look, the more you're convincing me it's more than just our force bond.
You really need to try playing Jade Empire. You'd love it, bro.
Yeah, but besides that, I am, see, what else have I been playing? Really? Oh yeah, I'm continuing my playthrough of Gotham Knights. So I've just I've just gone through the maze of the Court of Owls as Batgirl, because the hallucinations you encounter throughout the maze change depending on who you're playing as. So far I've played as Jason and Barbara going through that maze. So it's kind of cool seeing the different sides, because as Barbara you see like stuff reminiscent of Commissioner Gordon and stuff. So that's what I got. How about you?
I started a new playthrough of Tomb Raider 2013, which is honestly one of my favorite games of all time. I really love that game. I probably play through it once a year just because, like, it's the way I say it, it's like Uncharted but better. Like,
that's
the way
the
I say
one.
That's
the one that the Vikander movie's based off of, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's largely based off of the first game, though I think they do take elements from other games, but it's mostly based off that first game where they're on the Japanese island and whatnot. Like, I played through Rise, played through a bit of Shadow. Rise was fun, but like, I think what I love about 2013 is the whole survivor aspect, the whole, you against the wild. It's more it's more fulfilling. Like, he's trying to survive, he's trying to make it. There's more of a struggle. It feel and it obviously this is very Uncharted inspired. But what I like about it is the combat feels so much better.
Oh yeah, and I've played the game fairly extensively, and I do like how you're constantly under-equipped, so you are in a survival situation, and I really like how they really make you think hard about how you're going to approach a specific encounter or scenario and such. And plus, it also features the hilarious quick time events that are funny if you fail them.
Yeah, it's surprising how brutal they are.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Like, like you're trying to go through a water level and like you miss it, and you see a cutscene of her smacking your head against the rock, and she goes like, and you just like, it's just like, wow.
Or like you'll go like chest first into like a wood trap with a bunch of spikes, and I'm like, oh jeez.
But the game can also be very like rewarding and gratifying. Probably my favorite moment is you're getting like gunned down by these people, and then all of a sudden you get the grenade launcher attachment for for your machine gun, and like like you start shooting it off, and like and like she says, "That's right, you better run." It's just so freaking cathartic. That moment is my favorite moment in the
Yeah,
game.
there's always that one moment when like a tough group of enemies is attacking you, then they give you a new gun or a new like power or like attachment that immediately solves the scenario because you're like, burn!
No. What the thing is, like throughout the game, like
Mhm.
you said, you've been under equipped, you've been under a gun. It's like the hunted has now become the hunter, and it's just so fulfilling, so
Yeah, it's
gratifying. I
so
love
great.
that moment so much.
It's
Sorry,
so great. I love it.
I'm sorry, I got carried away there, but like I just
We all
freaking
do.
love that moment so much.
We all have that one moment in a game where we get carried away.
But yeah, I'm having a blast. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, we all are. You know me. We all are having fun.
Yeah. So this week, isn't there a TV show that's ending that is kind of the I guess the talk of the town, for better or worse?
So, full disclosure, I've seen every episode except the conclusion. I haven't watched the conclusion yet.
Full disclosure, I have not seen any of the episodes, and I do not plan to. So there's your debate lines right there.
It's your right there. But spoiler alert: this debate is going to turn into to each their own because, hey, at this point, first off, we're talking about fictional characters, so it's not like this is going to like affect like.
Wait! Play the clip.
I can. If it's okay with you, I'll play the clip. Hang on. So this is a clip that I play. Okay, so. The branding is going to change real quick because it doesn't transfer to the different branding profiles. So just bear with me. Oh my gosh, we just got teleported to Comics League.
Oh my god, what happened? What happened?
Okay, they're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters.
Oh, now we're back at Phoenix Press.
What the heck happened? It's like we were in Comics League world for a moment. How did that happen?
But yeah, so that's essentially what it is. Too many people, and I encountered this last weekend, as a matter of fact, too many people take any criticism against like pop culture or like any like debate as a personal attack against themselves. And I'm like,
I mean, too many people on lots when it comes to pop. Like, okay, I'm just gonna say this.
Go ahead.
Too many people when it comes to pop culture, whether you're pro or anti, take this way too seriously. This is kind of a quick aside. I'm all for an exchange of ideas, but I am sick and tired of having to justify my opinion. Have to give reasons for it to be validated. Okay, you can like or not like something for any reason. You can despise a movie just simply because they wear the wrong color shirt.
Yeah, or if you have if you don't have underwear on the outside of your pants, that's a shot to Superman fandom. But anyway, I encountered this because
like I like Justice League because it hints at Wonder Bat. Not 3, 2, 1.
Where is that? I'm sorry, we lost connection to the host of the stream. But anyway, it's because with me, I encountered this because I have very strong opinions about the Lois Lane character, and again, there was this one particular person. I'm not going to name names or anything like that because I think that's very unprofessional. But this person came after me on a stream just because I happen to not like Lois Lane.
Not cool.
As a character, which is, hey, dude, I can have my own opinion about Lois Lane, and and we settled this on DM. We're gonna have a debate on Nerdette stream, but the point is that I settled
disagreement is fine.
Yeah,
but disrespect is not.
Yeah, I DM'd this person on Twitter because we're actually friends and stuff, and I told him, hey, listen, dude, my opinion on Lois Lane or like Superman or anything like that does not invalidate yours. Mm-hmm. It does not make your opinion any lesser. I'm just giving you the justification for why I personally don't like Lois Lane as a character. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't invalidate, like, it doesn't make you any less of a fan.
And to bring this back to the topic,
yeah,
just because I don't like Last of Us, just because I want nothing to do with the show, does not invalidate your feelings on the show. If you think it's the greatest thing ever, if you think The Last of Us 2 is the highest form of art,
not the greatest thing ever.
I'm trying to,
but yes, I'm sorry, I had to put that in because I can't afford that being in the ether.
That's fine. I'm just trying to make a point here. If you think The Last of Us 2 is the highest form of art, if you think it is greater than the Mona Lisa, you are welcome to your opinion. Even I think you're crazy.
Well, because here's the thing: watching the show actually inspired me to like look up the game cutscenes on YouTube, because and shout out to Gamers Little Playground, because they're a channel that like combine all the game cutscenes into a movie. So I checked that. I was inspired to check that out because I've seen so many like shot for shot comparisons on the show where they recreate shots in the game. So I was like, okay, you know what? How accurate is this?
It's cool that people like it. My
Mhm.
problem with The Last of Us
Mhm.
is, so I okay. Let me just give me a sec. I'm gonna stop my cam because I'm gonna go grab something from my shelf. Talk, and I will be able to respond.
Yeah, so anyway, because that's my thing about this, because this show inspired me to look up the franchise. It's still not necessarily my thing. I may pick it up when it comes on PC just so I can try it out, because, I mean, I'm still interested. It looks really fun. I've heard words for it, and I like story-driven games are like my main like cup of tea. That's why I play games, for like a deep story. So the whole walking simulator thing really doesn't affect me. That doesn't really ding it on me that much.
So, full disclosure, I do own the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, this is the only version. This is the PS3 version.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with the game is both mechanically and story-wise.
Okay.
Mechanically, it's the worst of Uncharted. So obviously, this was made by the same people who made Uncharted, using literally the same engine, and it feels. The problem with the Uncharted games is, if you don't do exactly what you want them to do, the game has no clue what to do. Like, if you make a wrong jump, the game just kind of spazzes out.
Okay.
You know, and so these games live, and so mechanically, this game is very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
At least to me. And then the story wise, honestly, it doesn't really do anything special. It's a generic zombie story. It is not unique. It can be emotionally gripping for some. I can imagine for some people it might be emotionally gripping. If I'm gonna be at least say one positive, it's a generic story that's executed rather well.
Okay.
The characters themselves can be charming. The dialogue, I'm trying to at least be somewhat positive here.
Yeah.
It has positive points, but just the story itself, the story to me is carried by the characters. It's carried by how charming and likable the characters are.
Fun fact: Troy Baker actually cameos in the show. Just wanted to.
I think the voice actor for Ellie does as well. Who, by the way, if you're a Critical Role fan,
Yeah, I was about to say she's one of the Critical Role people. Yeah. But and by the way, the actors they picked to play Joel and Ellie nail the characters. From what I've seen in the cutscenes, yeah, they're the characters pretty much. Because first off, Pedro Pascal is born to play a morally ambiguous person with a gun escorting a child somewhere.
The thing that I find interesting is both Joel and Ellie are former Game of Thrones actors.
Yeah, I know.
Like that to me is what my mind is like. Did they ever talk? Because they were never on the set together. Because like Ellie, she was Lyanna Mormont, so she was like the later seasons. By the time she came along,
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal's character. I was trying to think of the character's name. He had been dead at least for a season or two. So like
because
never
it's
actually...
Game of Thrones. They kill everyone. They literally kill everyone.
I just wonder if they ever had any conversations about it. I imagine.
I wonder if what they did in the writers' room of that show is they just flipped a coin. Or like they had like a dartboard on this that they had a bunch of dartboards, and they're like threw a dart randomly. Okay, so that's the character that will die this episode.
I mean, it is based off a book series, so they're going off of that largely. But until they were, and then that's when it went to crap. But that's a separate conversation.
That's a separate one. But my point is that as a fan of like, well, anyway, because another thing I enjoy like straight up zombie shows, and I like the sort of original like concept for how the because again, I had never played or really watched the game story previous to this, so I know how the zombies came about, and I'm like, okay, that's actually an original idea instead of just it's a virus that it's like a genetic virus that goes crazy. And this is like, okay, moss and stuff. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It's a new idea. I like that. Newish.
Yeah. So largely, I feel like Last of Us. It's Last of Us. The first game in a nutshell. The first game in isolation is a generic zombie story. The story itself is executed decently well. Mechanically, I'm not a fan. I'm just going to put it that way. But ultimately is harmless in terms of like, whatever. The real problem I have with Last of Us is its sequel and the defenders of the sequel.
Yeah.
I get why people enjoy Last of Us. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. The people who really enjoyed this first game, I get it. I totally get why people like it. Like,
Plus, it's so pretty. It's a pretty game.
Well, there's lots of pretty games, but you know,
I'm just saying it's a bonus.
Fair enough. You know, so it's like it's whatever. You know,
yeah.
People like the problem I have is the sequel and like the sequel fans, because spoiler alert, Joel dies. Like basically, the story of Last of Us 2 is a mess, and even its most hardened defenders sometimes can say like, yeah, the story like it does a really stupid thing where it's like they kill off Joel in like the first act, and then like it's supposed to be about revenge, and then you're playing as Joel's murderer, and it's just such a freaking mess, and it's just like.
I'm wondering. What I'm wondering is that season 2 is season 2. Actually, I think they're gonna divide Last of Us 2 into 2 seasons. Now, what I'm wondering, which is that's a gamble right there. What I'm wondering is that okay, so I'm wondering how like. Because they said they're going to go straight the story from the game. So I'm wondering, is this going to lead to the show like falling off? Because a significant, I would argue, a significantly more numerous population hates the story from Last of Us 2.
Let me just do it this way. Let me compare it to another Pedro Pascal show. What they're essentially wanting to do is in The Mandalorian season 4. Basically the equivalent is, let's say they killed off Mando, and now the show is about Grogu. The Mandalorian is now about Grogu.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a full 1-1 comparison, but like that's like, essentially what they're, because like, I'm sorry, like Bella Ramsey, she's a gifted actress, but I don't think she can carry the show on her own.
I don't think so. It's kind of like how CW's The Flash, when there are whole episodes of the season that don't feature Barry or any Flash.
They do that.
Except there being that they did that a couple of seasons, a couple of episodes in like multiple seasons. They have had episodes where it's just like the side characters that no one cares about.
Does Barry even show up
in the episode? No. They say, "Oh, Barry's doing this over there. Let's focus on Allegra."
Okay, sorry, my mind is like
yeah, but yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think she can carry the show on her own. Plus the fact, I don't know how the public's gonna react to Joel getting killed.
Because people love Pedro Pascal, you know.
Yeah, Mando got killed. No,
I don't think I don't like it. Just plus like TV audiences are very fickle. Like they watch TV for familiarity and comfort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you built off a TV show off of like the dynamic between like a father-daughter kind of thing, and then you take that away, it's essentially becoming an entirely different show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think the whole like the comparison of it's basically like having the Mandalorian and you kill off Mando and the show becomes about Grogu. It's not a 1-1 comparison, but it's pretty fair. I mean,
yeah, because the show is about Joel and Ellie at this point. It's Joel and Ellie. That's the way it works. I'm sorry. That's like having a Superman movie without Clark Kent.
Yeah. So the fact that they're stretching The Last of Us into two seasons.
I think so. Yeah.
If I were to speculate, what I think is going to happen is Joel is going to be killed at the end of season 1.
You mean the first part? You mean?
And season 2, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I think they know what it is, and this is going to be a 3-season show. I think that's even worse because, like, by the end of 2 seasons, you're really attached to these people.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to try and milk the good days for as long as they can, which is why they're probably dividing into 2 parts.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And they have, and like Naughty Dog said, they don't want to make any more Last of Us games. I think so. It's not like they could get more like source material.
I think they're working on The Last of Us Part 3.
They are. Let me see it. Hang on. It may be a different franchise that I'm confused about.
No, they said they're gonna not make any more Uncharted games.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, the 4th one was their last one.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, why would they stop making Last of Us games? They just got an HBO show. Like, it's the whole reason why they remade Last of Us Part 1 for like the 3rd time. Like, that's the other thing I'm kind of ticked off about. It's like they released this for PS3, and then like a year later they released The Last of Us remaster for PS4, which, okay, fine. Like, this game came out right at the tail end of the PS3 generation. Like, okay, fine, whatever. And then they fully remake it for PS5, and it's just like, just stop. It's just stupid.
And the PC, because I believe the remake is coming out on PC.
Yeah, like, that was the excuse. Like, oh, they're doing it for the PC, and I was like, just release the PS4 version. It's like,
yeah, but the way it goes is that see now, and this gets into because. And I believe Neil Druckmann has said that he's aware of like of that a lot of people don't like the story for 2,
and he doesn't care. He doesn't care. I do not like Neil Druckmann. He is a slimy bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry. I do not respect that guy. I think he is. I do not like.
Which we'll see what happens when the show because I get the feeling that when they kill Joel, I'm not so sure the audience is going to stay with him.
Oh, it was controversial. Like, when Part 2 came out, it was a freaking firestorm.
I saw it because I got into content creating around that time, and I was watching a bunch of YouTubers. They were all talking about how nuts it was.
Yeah, like, it was bad. Like, I remember that time. It was bad, and
it was the dark
if you think
times.
if you think like video game people are bad, just imagine when it happened in the video games. I mean, video game people were braced for it. We're kind of mentally prepared for it. But like, the people who haven't played Part 2 or don't know about the spoiler, I don't know. Like, even I think like the video game people, they might have a hard time watching it. You know?
Yeah, because I think part of the reason why everyone will, particularly the gaming people, watch the show is for nostalgia, to remember the good times of The Last of Us.
Possibly.
That's part of what I think.
I just honestly, all the stuff I've heard about the show, a lot of it is just like really stupid. The fact that they only had 8 episodes and 2 of them were like standalone side stories,
and 2 of them didn't feature Joel.
Like, they did an entire episode, like, episode 3, the whole gay romance thing. It's just like,
yeah,
why is that even necessary?
The gay part of that episode didn't really, because here's the thing: in the game, it's hinted but it's not shown. But here's the thing: that's
fine.
But my problem with episode 3 is not the gay part. To be clear, it's the fact that it went on for that the plot of the episode was too long.
It's like you only got 8 episodes to tell the story, and you're just wasting an entire episode dedicated to something else that honestly, doesn't really, it's like, it's just bad writing.
Well, that's just bad writing. We need that Deadpool clip.
You really do. You honestly do.
But and yeah, and then you had last week's episode, which was purely a Ellie flashback.
To be fair, I'm going to go. I don't know what the episode is, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's based off the DLC Left Behind.
It's the mall DLC.
Is it the one where it's like with the other girl?
Yeah.
So it is based off the DLC Left Behind.
Yeah.
Like, they did a DLC for this game called Left Behind, which is based off of Ellie's story before she met Joel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's based off of that. At least that, I'll give it some credit. At least they're adapting a game, and at least that actually tells backstory for a character. At least that has to deal with a main character. Like, but that to me is at least relevant. Like,
the thing about it, I got that, but the problem with it is that they're using time that could be used to adapt important parts of the story, because now they only have one. Now I haven't seen the episode yet, so I don't know how they did it, but they have one episode to cover the rest of the game. And from what I've heard, from where they left in the story, there's like a significant part of the game story. What they should have done, save part 2 for season 3, and then adapt all these side stories.
Yeah, it does seem rather weird that they're kind of rushing through the first game story, which is literally what most people care about. Like, It just seems weird. Like honestly, they could have very easily made this a 2-part. If you're gonna do 8 episodes a season, do a part 1, part 2. And
they call the show Last of Us Part 2. By the way, I know why they're doing it, because they're trying to make. They know that the game was not, that part 2 was not was hated by the gaming community. So they're like, let's see if I can get the story to be liked by the TV audience. That's why they're expanding it.
Well, they're not really even expanding it. They're just burning through the content, honestly.
No, I mean, let's get through part 1, and then let's take longer to get through let's spend the most time in part 2. That way we could see if we can get the general audience to be attached to part 2 storyline, because the gaming people rejected it. That's just my tin hat thing.
What I think they're going to do is they're going to split the narrative, where they're going to cut back between, I think with I haven't seen episode 8, but I feel like they're going to include Abby in there, because I think she does, because I don't know. My brain is hurting. But yeah, and it's just, if people like this, cool. It's just, personally for me, I refuse to watch the show.
That's fine.
I refuse. I have this game. I've already bought it. It was $3.99 when I first bought it. I get
there you go
now, so it's like there's no reason for me to sell it. I'm not gonna buy another copy of The Last of Us. I have this. I'm not gonna sell it just because I just get peanuts for it, honestly. So,
and with me, see, Nick and I have these disagreements. I watch and enjoy The Last of Us, and I somehow got to watch a non-existent Matrix 4, which I actually thought was moderately decent. But so we have disagreements. No, it's my StreamYard account. You can't remove me.
I am the law.
Okay, for trying to do a little coup. Sorry, we seem to have lost connection to Nick. You don't get to do that.
You stand here on my achievement.
Not yours, exactly. We are here at the culmination of my achievement, not yours.
We gotta do Rogue One for a movie night at some point.
We do. Director Krennic.
Okay, I just gotta say this part. My favorite moment from Rogue One is, director, try not to.
No, be careful not to choke on your ambitions, Director Krennic.
No, your aspirations.
I thought it was ambitions.
I thought it was okay.
We'll watch the movie and then we'll go.
Vader made a pun.
Oh, and my favorite scene is the hallway scene with Darth Vader versus the Rebels.
Oh,
there you go. But anyway, back to this. So, and the overall thing, another direction I want to take this with adaptations is that, all right. Now, here's the thing. I don't think as fans we should ever expect it to be a 1-to-1 representation of the source material.
Okay.
Because there are some things that won't translate, or there are some things that happen in the game or comics or anything like that don't necessarily work in the visual medium.
So you're telling that when we get a Jedi Fallen Order adaptation, we won't see Cal Kestis falling in the same pit 5 times because he's a freaking dumbass?
Because the person playing him will not be a freaking dumbass.
Sorry, I had.
For those of you that don't know, watch our Fallen Order playthrough. You'll see what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, quick plug. But anyway, so what I mean is because, okay, I made my peace a long time ago that they're going to change stuff. Now, granted, there are times when it changes too much and it completely ruins the material.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to change some things because here's the thing. Here's why. Because when you Nick, would you agree that the overall goal of this is to get the general audience maybe aware of these IPs?
Sure.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you get a general audience person like to watch The Last of Us or Man of Steel or such, and they like it, this would inspire them to seek out, this could inspire them to seek out the other source materials. I know this is what DC wants to happen, and it doesn't always happen, but my point is that, like, take Man of Steel. They see Man of Steel, which made Superman a little more palatable to the general audience.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go, okay, I want to see the other stuff, like me, because most of my collection is older and is older comics, because I went to like the older stuff, because now that I understood the character, now that I got an introduction to the character in a way that I understood, I was like, okay, now I can go to the other stuff. Now, and go into Last of Us, same thing. Star Wars, same thing. Although Disney Star Wars maybe is not the best example. Mandalorian's a good example, but except for Halo too, because Halo was like completely not Halo. They changed too much. But my point is, there are times when changing stuff in an adaptation is a good thing for getting the general audience on board with the project.
Sometimes it's not.
It was this, Nick. It was this, Nick. Literally this in like 5 minutes.
And then later on the season, it was.
Yeah, exactly. Almost with Cortana watching the corner. That's the other part I forgot to mention.
That's kind of creepy.
You can look up the scene on YouTube. It's there.
I don't think I want to, but like it's kind of. Like
I know you will. I know you will. I know you at this point.
It's like watching a train wreck. You just can't peel your eyes away.
Yeah, but Cortana is watching. And it's kind of weird because you're also wondering, okay, so since Cortana is like plugged into his body, can she feel everything too? Which is weird. But anyway, now that I made Nick gag, but my point is, you should, see, here's the thing, as fans, let me put it this way, passion is okay. Protectiveness is okay, but a lot of fans take it way too overboard.
Passion
whether or
is
not
okay, disrespect is not.
Yeah, it's like with like a lot of mainstream Superman fans, because the Superman fandom is very purist, saying it has to be like the Christopher Reeve Superman forever.
He has to wear the trunks.
Yeah, he has to wear the trunks. Why is he wearing that? The suit sucks. Or Superman would never kill Zod, even though he has done so multiple times in the comics, and in the movies. But the point is that what you have to understand is that all right. Again, so some stuff is not going to translate. You're not going to have Henry Cavill pulling a solar system on a chain. That ain't happening. As funny as that would be.
But.
Exactly. But so my point is,
now I want to do like an AI generated prompt of a Henry Cavill Superman pulling a solar system off of a chain. I just want to.
That would be like great.
If I was good enough with AI art.
No, what you do is you do the prompt, but you put your face on it, so it's you pulling the solar system on a chain with a big smile on your face.
Why would I do that when I could have Henry Cavill do it and just piss off so many people?
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so the point is that, again, you shouldn't expect it to be one-to-one adaptation, because guess what? It's not. It's just not. It's not going to happen. And you have to allow for the adaptations to be updated, because as times change, you have to allow the character to grow, because otherwise the character becomes a relic of the time period.
I agree with you in spirit. The problem is updated for modern audiences is really it's kind of a dog whistle at this point.
Yeah.
It's a signal that, like, it is used by hack writers
Mhm.
to just change things to the whim and just like I'm sorry, whenever I hear the words "we're updating it for modern audiences," I mentally die inside.
Yeah, so let me be clear on this. I don't mean that. But like take the head writer for X-Men the animated series 97, the new one that's coming out. He said you have to be a fan of the project of the original X-Men series. You have to be a fan, you have to have watched the show, you have to understand these characters in order to participate in the writers meeting.
That gives me a little bit of hope for the show. I mean, it is Disney, so I'm kind of reserved. I mean, like hearing what he says gives me some hope, but I'm reserving judgment until it comes out. But I want it to be good. But like, as far as X-Men '97 is concerned, it's hopeful, but I just
But
I don't know.
let me put it this way. Here's a good example of updating something for the modern audiences, but doing it well. Zack Snyder with Superman.
Okay, yes. Agreed.
That's the good example because he took a character. Okay, so to be clear, nothing is wrong with the Christopher Reeve Superman or the Brown and Ralph Superman. But let me be
Christopher
clear.
Reeve is my favorite Superman, by the way.
That's fine, and that's perfectly fine. He's my number 2. My number 1 is Henry Cavill. At least we agree that Cavill's pretty dope. But anyway, my point is that
Cavill is my number 2.
Yeah, because what Zack and company did is they took Superman, who for the longest time was stuck in the Christopher Reeves like characterization, which it's fine for the period it was in. It doesn't always work now.
Here's what I like to point out.
Go ahead.
We all talk about wanting a new Christopher Reeve Superman movie. They gave us a new Christopher Reeve Superman movie in the form of Superman Returns, which literally takes they did everything right with that movie. Brandon Routh is a great. I think the suit's fine.
The S is way too small
for the time period. I think it's a fine suit.
Mm-hmm.
They gave Brandon Routh. If you can't have Christopher Reeve, I think he's a great replacement.
Mm-hmm.
They literally set it off of Superman 2. They ignored 3 and 4. It was actually one of the first films. By the way, Superman Returns was actually the first film to do something like that. By the way, so just let me know.
To ignore the what took place afterwards, I didn't know that.
No, it ignores 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 do not exist in this universe. Think of it like a branching timeline kind of thing.
I mean, you could kind of say that since it takes place in between 2 and 3 per se, you could just and since Superman doesn't die in this movie, he comes back to life. It happened.
Yeah, but Lois has a son.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was about to say, I was like, oh, wait a second. Lois has a kid, and he's not a character in 3 and 4, so that would be kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, because remember, in 3, she's only really in the beginning and the ending, and in 4, she's still a character, but they never mention her son. So it's to me, I treat it like a break. It's like they gave us a Christopher Reeve Superman movie, which honestly, I think that movie is fine.
It's fine. We'll talk about it on movie night, by the way.
People largely rejected it, honestly.
Yeah, because, and this is why I tell people, again, nothing wrong with liking Reeves or anything like that. It's just with the way audiences are set up now, they're not going to believe that okay, so Superman shows up here and he's so perfect. He does the right thing all the time. He doesn't make mistakes. And the thing is, when you get to Man of Steel, and yes, it was a success despite what people will say, it was considered a success by the trades because what he did is he made Superman go through the same. That's what I mean by modern audiences. Superman goes through the same struggles that we all go through on a daily basis in the post 9/11 world.
The thing is, Man of Steel came out right before films started making $1 billion on the regular. So nowadays, if a film doesn't make $1 billion, it's not really considered a success.
Mm-hmm.
But this film came out and right before films started making $1 billion on the regular. So it's that's why it's judged as a success.
Yeah, and then that's why now it's considered a failure because it didn't make $1 billion. And that's the point, because Zack Snyder took all these god characters which people found hard to relate to, and that's part of why DC so far hasn't really gotten that level of success as Marvel does, because guess what? Marvel made their characters relatable. DC has
Batman. It's why Batman is their most popular character
because here's the thing.
Batman can be shot and killed.
Yeah, DC is just a bunch of gods. I love that. That's why I like DC more than Marvel. But the problem with that, it's a double-edged sword. It's cool because you have these awesome characters.
Okay, here, let me put it this way. Let me just kind of sum this up. DC is gods trying to be human.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel is humans trying to be gods.
Exactly. Or in the case of some characters don't necessarily. It's just gods trying to fit in with humanity.
I was trying to like summarize it in a nice, neat little.
And that works. Just some kind of arguably because Superman, I'd argue, is trying to find like the perfect way to marry his Kryptonian and his Earth heritage. But
no, that's what I said. Gods trying to be human. That's exactly
all right. But
Marvel
my point is,
trying to be gods.
My point is that the reason why the audience identify with Zack Snyder's movies, and it's demonstrable again, because he made these gods human without taking away their powers or anything like that. Because they went through they went through all the struggles that we did. It wasn't like Superman like stopping bullets or anything like that. He dealt with self-doubt. That's what BVS is. He's dealing with self-doubts, trying to find his place in the world, in a world that's largely rejecting him in that movie until he gives the ultimate sacrifice. Batman, he has no hope, and then he sees someone sacrifice and inspires him. Wonder Woman inspires her. And that's the problem with Marvel, because they're all like relatively human compared to DC in terms of like power level and everything. The audience is able to like latch on them because they can see themselves in the Marvel characters better than they can in like the gods of Olympus that are DC. That's why, again, if they're gonna go completely opposite of Zack Snyder for the DCU, I'm very concerned, because if they go full on like craziness, I don't think that's gonna work. Because like with Superman, if Superman Legacy is basically Superman Returns, it's not gonna do well.
No, because I've made this point a couple of times, even on the show. I'm gonna have to say something that I don't like invoking this, but anyone who's a World of Warcraft fan will instantly recognize what I'm about to say. You think you do, but you don't. I'm sorry, but that like anyone who's a World of Warcraft fan, they just instantly cringe. And they just got a flood of memories like that. That's I'll explain it to you off camera context.
Okay, but yeah, and that's the thing. That's ultimately what I am talking about. Because here's the thing. Yes, because what they're going to do is I feel like they're going to go to the extreme the other way and make them back to being unrelatable, and that's why. That's why for the longest time, DC, except for Batman, has had the hardest time finding an audience.
Yeah, because Batman has no problem attracting an audience. It's just the other characters, you know. Like you'll have Flash.
Batman's an actual career option.
Yeah, it's like because it's all about putting yourself in the shoes of these characters. You know, like for example, there's plenty of people be like, "Hey, if I'm blind, would I become Daredevil?" You know,
there's more to that. He's not just blind; he has the enhanced stuff. But I get what you're saying there.
Yeah,
but it's like with Daredevil, it's more like overcoming a disability. I'm using air quotes around that because I don't think disability is the right word. But you know what I'm saying there. It's finding other ways to help and
then Spider-Man is the ultimate in terms of relatability.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah.
If you have the power to do something, you have the responsibility to do it. Exactly.
I mean, with great power comes great responsibility. If you're going to quote the quote, do it properly. I know you're quoting the Amazing Spider-Man version, but you know, like.
Well, anyway.
Okay. Okay. I got a rant. So, the line is with great power comes great responsibility. That is the classic line.
Yeah.
What kind of really I like the Amazing Spider-Man. I actually rewatched it recently, and I gotta say, not only has it held up, I actually think it's actually grown on me a bit more. Because like my problem with the Raimi films is Mary Jane is so insufferable. It
She is the
really
problem.
I love the films. Like when Mary Jane is not on screen, it's great. But when she comes on screen, it just brings it down. It's just like she is such a toxic person that it's hard to watch those movies. Whereas Amazing Spider-Man, they're basically doing the Raimi formula, but the whole Gwen Stacy, Peter Parker thing is just so much better. It makes for such a more complete viewing experience, honestly.
And plus, a significant number of Spider-Man fans like Gwen Stacy with Peter more than Mary Jane with Peter.
I mean, yeah, we can have that debate at another time, but like,
yeah.
So my biggest problem is that scene is he's basically doing the great power speech, but he's like they're doing everything they can not to say the classic line, and it's just like, come on, guys, we know what you're saying, we know what you're doing. They even acknowledged it in No Way Home, actually,
multiple times.
No, where there's a scene where they're like on the bridge and Tom Holland's saying like with great power, and then Toby says great responsibility, and then Andrew says, yeah, my uncle said that to me, just different words. Like,
and then Aunt May said that before he died in the previous scene. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like you want to talk about like changes, I actually don't mind making Aunt May the Uncle Ben of this universe. I actually don't mind that because we just spent 3 films getting used to her character. Like Uncle Ben, like he's like we know he exists in this universe, because like there's that suitcase that says BP, like Ben Parker, you know, and
they like reference him in a What If.
You mean
the
like
Marvel Zombies one?
Oh, yeah. So it's like I don't mind her being the Uncle Ben. I think that's a fine change. You know, you're talking about like adaptation changes.
Yeah, and again, when you look at the MCU characters, most of them are not the way they are in the comics. I got news for you. That's just the way it is.
To be fair, initially a lot of them were based off of their Ultimate counterparts.
Yeah, but I'm just saying a few of them aren't even accurate to the Ultimate comics. Cap is more of an asshole in the Ultimate comics.
Yeah, like one thing that
Tony Stark is spot on.
Can I just say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I really wish they had done during Falcon Winter Soldier is have the U.S. agent say, like, point to his helmet, is like, what do you think this stands for? Like, I really wish they had done that. It's like, U.S. agent would have been perfect for that line.
Yeah, or the Hulk, because the Hulk goes, Hulk, the horniest one there is. He said that in the comics. Ultimate Comics. Yeah, I know. There are some times where I'm like, okay, don't adapt that. Please don't adapt that.
So you're saying Hulk smash?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, the joke was there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there are times when you have to change it to make these characters more palatable to the general audience. And guess what? It worked for Marvel. They made except for except it's kind of funny. The one time they adapted a character panel for panel as she is in the comics, Captain Marvel.
See, my problem is I don't mind change. I don't even mind race swaps. Like for example, Superman in the Snyderverse, Perry White is not white. In
James Gordon in the Batman.
Yeah. The problem I have is when they do race swaps just for the sake of doing race swaps. Like for example, Joel's original daughter, from what I understand, they made her black in the show, and I'm like, why? Like, it's not even a right actress, right role situation. This is literally just part of a sequence. I don't know how much of the intro sequence took out the first episode.
It's pretty much shot for shot the game.
Like, why did like, because like that makes it like lore adaptation is like, I don't think she was adopted in the original game. You know, I think it was like her actual biological daughter. Is it, you know?
I don't remember.
Like I'll put this portion of my critique. I'll fully admit I might be wrong. She might have been adopted in the original game. It's been a while.
I know I didn't. When I watched through the original game cutscenes, I don't think they referenced it.
Yeah, it's like
I could be remembering wrong.
so it's just one of those things where it's like why like what's the point of doing the race swap? You know, like it's fine if it's right actor, right role. I get that, but like nah, it's just like anyone could have done that. You know, like come on.
Well, it could be also they wanted to have an actress that has also chemistry with Pedro Pascal, and of the ones that they auditioned, she had the best chemistry.
I mean, still, it's like there's billions of people on this planet, and chemistry is like you can replicate it with you know, it's like I don't
Again,
know,
which is why I said of the people who auditioned.
but like at the same time, this is such a short sequence, and it has such little bearing on the
It's
show.
half the episode.
Still, it's half the episode of an 8-episode season. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
but
like
here's the thing: that would drag the story down in terms of the general audiences. If like they cast someone who looked like her but didn't have like chemistry with Pedro, because then you lose. Then her spoiler death in the first episode loses its effect.
I still think it's kind of needless because
Yeah,
in this situation you literally could have gotten anyone. And I even the whole chemistry thing, I just don't think that's as big of an excuse. I don't know.
all right, that's fine. But the point is that yeah, there are times when race swapping really annoys me. Like, let me put it this way: the one where I was like at first like, but then I kind of grew on me was Starfire and Titans.
Yeah, and I've said this multiple times. It's for the same reason, and I've since come to the conclusion that like Anna Diop does a good enough job of Starfire. Her lines can be kind of cringy at times, but that's not her fault. And the problem I had with her in the first season is more her costume than the actual act. Her costume and her hair rather than the actual actress.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing: what's cool, what they did in Titans, which I actually appreciated in the first episode, they made it so her skin turns orange when she uses her powers. So I'm like, okay, at least you're factoring in the orange skin somehow.
Yeah, like, and I'm not a fan of like her hair glowing when she does that.
Yeah,
really...
that was stupid. But besides that, and I liked how in season 2 and 3 and subsequent seasons after 1, they fixed her costume and her hair. They at least responded to the respectful criticism and said, okay, we can address this.
Yeah. I mean, that first season was a mess. I mean, literally the season finale of the show of episode 1. I mean, literally the season finale, season 1 is episode 1 of season 2. So
yeah, it's a cliff. It's basically part 1 of season 2.
Yeah, because if you notice, season 2 of episode 1, they're still using that blue color filter, but literally the next episode, it's like they use a totally different color grading.
Yeah, but yeah, but yeah, and again, it adds up. First off, they gave Starfire an actual costume in subsequent seasons as opposed to just wearing stuff, which I'm like, and the costume looked at. That's the one thing I will give Titans. The costumes looked fantastic.
And I will say this. This show did something that no other Titan show has done. They made Blackfire relatable.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like if nothing else, they actually made Blackfire an interesting character, because normally she's just like the evil stepsister. Like she's the evil, you know.
That's the way she was in the old Teen Titans cartoon.
Yeah, and like she was always the villain. I mean, she's still kind of the villain, but like now it's a little bit more understandable. Like you like you wonder backstory about why. Like, and they may have done this in the comics. I don't know.
And the only issue I had was when they only allowed Beast Boy to turn into a tiger for 3 seasons.
I mean, Dick kind of started treating him like a Batman character.
And they fixed it in season 3 and 4 because that he turned into a bunch of bats and then he turns into a gorilla. So I'm like, okay, at least you're. Well, I get because it's budget, but it's like there are other ways to do
expensive.
It. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah. That's why, again, that's why I like Titans, because at least they took respectful criticism and actually did it, as in the case of Starfire, and they made, and and also her character improved throughout the other seasons. It was less annoying,
Mm-hmm.
but and also they kept trying to get to that point where they were the characters. The only character I didn't like was Red Hood.
I think honestly, all he had been through the last season to the point where wanting to commit suicide, I don't really blame him. Plus, honestly, he was hopped up on fear toxin most of the season, so it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how they handled Superboy in that show,
Where he becomes the Lex Luthor guy again.
also in this one they did a race swap. Well, to be fair, Mercy Graves, her race is like all over the place because like
she's been in the Snyderverse. She was Asian, and the DCAU she was
a freaking robot.
Yeah, so it's like at this point it changes so much. I'm like, yeah, I don't care at this point. Plus, she's not exactly like a main front and center character either.
Yeah, but she is kind of a villain of that season. I think they did it really well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
what we're saying is that there are times when changes to canon are good, or look this way: if it serves the story well. Well, first off, hang on. If the story is a well-written story and the change serves that story, I'm more open to a change, no matter what that is.
I want to point this out. Mercy Graves is a Superman the Animated Series character.
Yeah.
That's why I said Superman the Animated Series.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that she was American in the cartoon. That's what I said.
Yeah, so let's kind of bring this back to video games real quick.
But yeah.
Actually, we're kind of getting on, so we have an announcement to make. So, new format is not entirely
yeah. I can change it to changed format.
That's close enough. So basically we love doing this podcast. We love you guys. But we've realized that while we can talk about video games, it is rather limiting. So we're doing what I like to call an extension of the format. Video games are still our primary focus. We're not changing the name. Everything will stay the same. It's just now we're going to talk about basically general nerd geekdom stuff. So we can talk about movies.
Think of this episode as a good example of that.
Yeah, so congratulations, you just saw a backdoor pilot.
Yeah, there you go. we basically started our new format without telling you.
It wasn't planned, but hey, it worked out.
Hey, it happened. We go on tangents all the time, so it's no problem.
Yeah, and that's also the reason why we kind of agreed on this kind of extension of the format, because we go into these tangents about comics and video games. It just makes sense, honestly, to kind of so we're still the Super Split Screen Brothers. That's not going to change.
And we're still going to cover gaming when it happens. This is also what Nick and I noticed. Too many episodes have happened where there's no video game news. So we're just we want to be able to give you guys a substantial content-filled episode. But if there's no news, that takes out a large portion of what we can talk about.
Yeah. So we're still primarily focused on video games. It's just now we'll talk about other things, and we're not afraid to go on tangents. We went on the whole Teen Titans tangent, But
again, it worked because we're talking about adaptations.
Yeah, it's still within, the framework. Yeah. So also, in addition to this new extension, we will be having new co-hosts. We will be having Jay Heat join us as the third Super Split Screen Brother, and he will be coming on next week, and he will be
anyone that's come to Comics League knows who Jay Heat is.
Yes, he brings the heat.
I'll send you the intro for him. I actually know it. I don't have to send it to you. I can just upload it to here. There you go. I'll have the intros for everyone.
Yeah, so that's gonna be pretty sweet. And yeah. So any last words you want to say?
Do you want to do our top 5 list?
Yeah. What top 5 you got for me this week?
Top 5 gaming adaptations. How's that? Now, I'm gonna go first because my number 1 is not based on a video game, but it's an adaptation. Live, Die, Repeat: The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise.
Okay, that does take video game elements. It's
essentially Respawn the movie. It's Respawn the movie.
Yeah, technically it's a manga adaptation, but yeah, that works.
But you catch what I'm going for. It's very much a gaming movie. And then Ready Player One, because yeah. Either that or Free Guy. I would say Free Guy more because I'm more into like the GTA 5 gaming, and that really.
Yeah.
Plus, I love Ryan Reynolds as Blue Shirt Guy.
I'm sorry, my favorite moment is
And we will talk about. We should have a special episode where we talk about like a gaming movie, kind of like how we do movie night on my channel.
We can talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorite moment from Free Guy is when he's going through like all the meat, like it's like this is a scene that like they added in once they were like, oh, we're a Disney movie now. Oh, we have access to these properties. Let's just throw a scene like this in. And
the lightsaber and cap shield, yeah.
No, it's the cap shield, and like you hear the Avengers scene, then it cuts to like Chris Evans. He's like, "What the shit?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Okay, I love it because it's like multi-layered.
And then it pans out. And he's got Hulk's fist, and then he brings out a lightsaber and starts playing Star Wars music.
Yeah, I just love like the Chris Evans cameo, and the fact that he says "What the shit," he's like, "Language."
Yeah. And actually, hang on. In the Avengers 2, when that scene happens, Iron Man goes, shit.
Yeah, that's the whole joke.
Yeah, I know. It's really fun. I like that. Plus, I like seeing all the gaming stuff. And plus, again, it's basically GTA 5 multiplayer the movie, really, when you think about it.
It really is.
Yeah, so there's that. Sure. And then I would have to say, okay, what's another video game adaptation? Oh, yeah. Tomb Raider, the one that we were talking about in the What Are We Playing part. Mm-hmm. And let's see. What's another one? I'm trying to think of another one. I've done 4, right? Or have I done 3?
Yes.
Okay, 4.
4.
All right, so one more. I'm going to have to go with Halo Forward Unto Dawn. I had to be very careful to say Forward Unto Dawn and not just Halo. And Nick knows what I'm talking about because Forward Unto Dawn perfectly encapsulates like a lot of like the military culture of Halo, and then they have the Master Chief show up like a boss.
But the Halo show on Paramount Plus is the greatest video game adaptation ever.
Oh man, we lost connection. I'm sorry, guys. For some reason, Nick has really crappy internet. Oh, he's back.
It's either I have really crappy internet or really crappy takes.
Either of those are actually a true representation, dude. But anyway, what's your top 5 game adaptations?
So, Halo on Paramount Max. Paramount Max.
But did you see they could be dropping the HBO and HBO Max because they think having the HBO part of it is turning off people?
It's not what's turning off people.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that just reeks of executive looking for an excuse. But anyway, mine are no particular order. Castlevania for Netflix, so good. Detective Pikachu, Sonic, and I'm just including Sonic 1 and 2 in here. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because if we're doing like video game related kind of stuff,
it counts. It counts.
Yeah, if Ready Player One counts, Scott Pilgrim also counts. And then lastly, I would say Mortal Kombat, either Mortal Kombat or honestly any Mortal Kombat movies. Because like, here's the thing: the Mortal Kombat movies, with the exception of Annihilation, why would
get over here?
I had to. You said Mortal Kombat.
You need to transfer that one to this one.
I will. Because honestly, gaming.
The Mortal Kombat movies, with the exception of Annihilation, are all really solid. Like, they did the adaptation of Mortal Kombat Legacy back in the early 2010s, which is like a web series, which was actually really, really solid. And then the movie itself, outside of Cole, was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so and by the way, guys, drop in the comments your thoughts on like The Last of Us, gaming adaptations, and what your top 5 favorite adaptations are.
Really quick, I really love how in that clip they do like the instrumental do 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 do. Like they they bring in those beats. That is such a nice
fun fact. That's the only English that Scorpion says in the whole damn movie. And I'm like, that was purely like let's just give fan service at that point, even though it makes no sense in the story of the movie. But
I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining. It's awesome. I love it. I said that once on a Nerdette's news stream because someone will because that same person that wants to debate me on Lois said challenged me to a debate, and I got 1 word. I got 3 words for you. Get over here.
I'd have been like,
I had to.
Step in.
Yeah, I had to. So, Nick, you want to like, comment, subscribe, share this stream. Let's get Nick up in subs. Let's do this, people.
Yep, I'm over the 250 mark. Thank you guys. Now we're climbing towards 300. I gotta catch up to Jared. He's close. By the way, please subscribe to Comics League. It's this guy right here. He's awesome. He's actually really close to 500 subs.
It'll
so
be
if
in
you've not subscribed to me,
description.
if you've not subscribed to him yet, please do. We need to get this guy to 500. He is awesome. He deserves it.
I'm checking my subs 480.
20. You're 20.
I just need 20.
I think you're gonna get it before the end of the month.
Yeah, I think so. If I keep having these viral streams, but anyway, so there's that. Again, like, comment, subscribe, share, everyone. Drop your thoughts on what we talked about in the comments. Be civil and everything, and there you go.
As always, this is Nick from the Phoenix Press, and remember, I can only show you the door. You're the ones to walk through it.